Scott Boydston, who is with his wife Tran, his lovely wife Tran, ready for the Maui condo. He put a question for us, and I want to kind of bring it up and let's kind of talk about this because I think it's a relevant one. So Scott says, we're working with Heidi regarding a condo purchase on Maui. So big shout out to Heidi and her patience and understanding with us as we navigate this big purchase in our retirement. Yes, awesome. You are, Scott, that yes, Scott, Scott, that you are working with like the best in the business in Maui. Here's the question for you, Heidi, Scott, and Dylan. Ideally, we would like a 2-bedroom, 2-bath condo because we would like to have room and privacy for guests when they visit. We would like the condo to be vacation rentable as we'll be spending about half our time on Maui and the balance of our time traveling. Now, clearly a 1-bedroom is less expensive. A 1-bedroom, 1-bath is less expensive, but we're hesitant to do that, to go that route because of the lack of privacy for guests, assuming they would be sleeping on a sleeper sofa. I'm a very early riser and don't want noise in the kitchen making coffee to disturb our guests. What are the pros and cons of a 2-bedroom, 2-bath versus a 1-bedroom, 1-bath in this situation? Thanks, Peter, for you and your Eleanor, Ohana, Scott, and Tran. So great question, gang. That you've heard Scott's question. Why don't we kind of start with Heidi on this one, and then we'll jump. We'll do Heidi and then Scott and then Dylan. What's your advice for Scott and his wife Tran? Heidi.
Well, I mean, I think it's really a personal decision. I mean, what's going to work for you? Something to think about is, who your guests are, how often they're going to be visiting you, because a lot of people overestimate how often they're going to be having guests. I mean, the other thing, which is, I mean, it's really more of a personal thing that only you can answer, but I mean, how long do you want your guests to stay? You might not want them to stay, make them too comfortable and stay weeks and weeks and weeks. It's a really common, I don't question, something people need to think about when they're buying. It's like, do you spend an extra $500,000, $1 million to have extra space for your guests? Or with that money, could you just rent them a place every time they visited you? If the complex allows short-term rentals, you can probably find another condo close by that you could rent, which might work if the guests are maybe only coming once a year or so. But if you're going to have family that's going to come on a regular basis, I mean, I totally understand wanting to have more privacy. So, yeah, it's a good consideration. But the price difference, as you know, is significant sometimes between a 1 and 2 bedroom. I mean, it can be $500,000 plus decision there.
Now, the good news is that Scott Boydston is he's a CPA, so he can do math. He can do the math, and he could do the cost benefit analysis. Great analysis, Heidi. I'm going to throw in some stuff as well that we've touched on before. Scott, what's your advice for Scott and his wife?
Yeah, well, part of this comes down to price, right? 2-bedroom, 2-bath versus a 1-bedroom, 1-bath. All other things being considered should cost more. So, are your friends and family worth it? and by how much? And the other part is a lifestyle component, like you mentioned. It's the comfort component when people are there, not treading on each other. But do you really want to make them that comfortable and they stay longer than they're welcome for? But yeah, you can do the cost benefit analysis on the number of people coming to visit versus the price difference and see if it weighs out per head, right?
There's another aspect too, which is this is part of the calculations, of course, would be that if you're in a short-term vacation rental zone and you're going to be renting it, it's also going to be higher income. I don't know how that figures, but that's again part of your calculations. But what you're right, Scott, go ahead.
Yeah, there's actually, so that goes to an interesting topic. I had this discussion with my uncle many years ago, who he took me under his wing probably 23 years ago when I started getting into investing and stuff. And the conversation we had was, and that he had was, hey, he liked studios and one bedrooms because you're going to get in that you're going to get a couple or a single individual, and the minute you start getting into two bedrooms and more, now you've got potentially four people in that space. You got four people taking a shower every day, four people cooking in the kitchen. The wear and tear on it becomes greater, so therefore your maintenance costs and things go up and whatnot. So there is that capacity when if you're thinking about it from the investment side, not just the occupancy and guests coming to visit.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Dave, thanks, Dave. HOA is also the homeowners association fees are going to be more on a two-bedroom as well. Maintenance costs are going to be higher. Dylan, what's your advice for Scott and his wife Tran?
Heidi's advice was spot on. My opinion, I completely agree. People 100% of the time overestimate how much people will visit them. So if that's a huge driving factor in your decision making, you're probably way overestimating it. I deal with this personally. My mom doesn't even visit me as much as I would like her to, and I have a huge room for her and a bathroom. I make that available to all my friends and family. And a lot of times people come to town and they don't want to impose, so they're going to go get a condo and stay in it anyways, right? So even if people do visit you, you kind of assume that they're always going to stay with you. And from the money standpoint, you don't even have to be talking about a lot of money, right? If you pay $100,000 more for an additional bedroom and it doesn't get used very much, how many condos can you rent for your friends for $100,000 over 20 years? I mean, you can spend $100,000 will buy you a lot of weeks in a vacation rental condo for a long, long time. And so sometimes, from an economic standpoint, it makes zero sense to have a room that sits empty 80-90% of the time when you could just offer to pay for a vacation rental inside of your complex or near your home or wherever it is.
Yeah,
and that was a good point about HOAs. You're going to pay potentially 30-40% more in HOA fees depending on the square footage, because it's all based on your square footage. And that's going to be a monthly cost forever in addition to whatever your purchase price is. And so that's something to think about too.
Yeah, great points. Scott and Tran, you guys are on. Give us your feedback. Any kind of follow-up questions, or kind of has this changed your thinking, or how's this affected? What about the rest of you? Would you get hearing what you're hearing, what would you do? What would you do? Would you get the one bedroom, one bath that's good enough for you and your partner, or would you want to go for the 2-2 for guests that are visiting? What's your effect? I'd like to know kind of what you folks think. And I'm going to chime in on my end over there. We actually touched on this when we had the retirement question that we had one or two shows ago. And one of the questions was about family, and Dylan made the point that family ain't coming. Dylan, your mom not only your mom lives just on the other side of the island. She could drive to your house, right? And she doesn't visit, right?
Yeah, she lives 2 hours away. Like, she doesn't have to get on a plane or anything. So
there you go. So there you have it. Thanks, Scott. Excellent advice. Very confident that Heidi will help us navigate the situation. And Tran says she wants the 2-2 and she's the boss. Mom says 2-2. We're getting the 2-2, and that's just all there is to it. That's the ultimate override for everything. Look, Scott,
I would say the second bathroom is more important. Right? I mean, if at a minimum, because if you have just guests over to your place, do you want them going into your main bathroom? It's always nice having a guest bathroom, a 1-2 where you have a place for guests, or even just a 1.5, so you don't have to have them going into your main bathroom.
Like a shower stall or something, a half bath or something. Yeah, that's a really, really, really good point. That might be a compromise. I'll be curious, Scott and Heidi, what your experience has been with family visiting. Mine has been that no one. And I've got a big fat Greek family in Chicago, 30 plus. If I count my cousins, it's well over 30. Immediate like cousins and aunties, uncles, cousins, nephews. It's well over 30. Interestingly enough, a lot of my cousins came over once on their honeymoon, which was fun. Never see them again. God bless them. I've got 1 or 2 have come over like more than once. Maybe like twice, maybe 3 times. And I only have one and only one family member who comes over pretty much every year. And that's my daughter. That's it. Other than that, that's it. No one comes. Scott, Heidi, what's your frequency?
My parents haven't been out in 4 years. And then from everyone I grew up with in high school, I probably had 3 of them that have come out to visit. So I don't get guests very often, and it's exactly what you guys were saying. What Dylan was saying is and Heidi. People don't come out that often. Our lives are too busy and we got stuck. So, yeah.
Yep. I've got a video that I just got through recording that's going to talk about, like Dylan's vlog, 4 reasons why no one's coming. Heidi, what about you? What's been your experience? Are the folks from rural Illinois coming out to Hawaii to see you at all? You're muted.
Yeah, well, I've had very few visitors these last couple years, but I mean, it's also because of COVID and the travel restrictions. And when my family tends to come, they come in a big group that I could never accommodate at my place. So they end up renting a larger house or condo. And I mean, I do love having visitors and seeing people here. A lot of the people that have come to visit haven't stayed with me, even though we do have an extra bedroom for people and I've invited them. So it just depends. That's really kind of a personal question that everybody has to answer for themselves. Cause I mean, I know other people who are flying back and forth from California, I mean, every few weeks here, and have family visiting all the time. So, I mean, everybody's experience is going to be different, but I just wanted to add on the vacation rental aspect. A lot of people think that they should get a 2-bedroom because it's going to rent better. And on Maui, that's not necessarily the case. I mean, the property management companies report that the 1-bedrooms rent just as well or better than a 2-bedroom. Because if it's only a couple or maybe a couple and a young child, I mean, they're probably not going to rent a 2-bedroom. So I mean, the purely rental perspective, I mean, a 1-bedroom is just as good. You don't have to get a 2-bedroom. But get a 2-bedroom if you need the 2 bedrooms or you want the 2 bedrooms for yourself.
See, I think, Heidi, I mean, the simplicity and the essence of what you said is true, which is it's a personal kind of question. It really, really will vary. It really, really all depends because, like I said, my daughter comes every year. So, if, I know that, for example, my boss, my wife would probably want a 2-bedroom place because she'd want to have it so that the kids, quote, the kids can come over, but it depends on your family. Some people's family kids don't come over. Some people's parents never come over. My parents haven't come out, feels like 10 years at least, and they probably never will. It's just not their thing. And Scott says, agree, Peter, our daughter and her husband will be our most often visitors. We can't seem to hide from our daughter. Yeah. So, that's it. If your daughter's going to be hanging out and look at, if I was the daughter, I'd be wanting to hang out in Maui too. If my parents had a condo in Maui, damn, so, yeah, thanks, Heidi, for that insight. Yeah, exactly. So
one more thing.
Yeah.
One more thing to kind of take into the equation, right, is what are the other trade-offs? So what if you can get a really good view on the 1-1, but, a subpar view on a 2-2, but the price is the same? How much does that view matter to you? I mean, you're gonna enjoy that every single morning while you're having coffee or watching the sunset. Maybe it's an amenity like a tennis court or something. Maybe one complex you can get a 1-1 with a great tennis court because you love to play tennis, and another one has a 2-2, same price but no tennis court. So those are the kind of things you want to kind of think about too, especially in the condo world, is other things that may bring you enjoyment over the long run that you're going to use on a daily basis because you won't have guests on a daily basis.
I think that's kind of the essence I'm catching of all this, right? The essence of it is, first and foremost, I mean, Heidi's fundamental point, I think, is the fundamental principle, which is it's a personal thing. How is your, know thyself, right? Know thyself, know thy family, know thy network, and kind of make some kind of a determination of that. That's number one. And number two is really kind of think through what the trade-offs are, right? What's the additional expense? What's it gonna, how much is it gonna cost? How often do you see things come? How often do you see family coming over to visit you? What's the and the alternative is you can rent a larger place for those times that they're going to visit, right? What's it going to cost? What are you getting out of it? What's the trade-off? How's it work? Et cetera. And and most importantly, like Auntie Joyce says, get the 2-bath. Get the 2-bath. That, like, bathroom is almost more important than the bedroom there. But those are all factors of it. And Scott is loving it. You guys are spinning gold today. That's for you, buddy. That is for you, my man. This is what this team does. This is like the gold spinning team, right? I love the diversity. I love the whole way that group works together. Uncle Jim here says, "Yep, smaller ocean front beats bigger unit a few minutes away." Absolutely, unless the smaller thing with the ocean view is not going to work for you if your children are coming out to see you, more often than once every few years, right? It all depends. It all depends. Auntie Joyce agrees. Two bathrooms is key. My husband's has survived mostly because we never share a bathroom. Don't tell anyone, but same thing in our household too, man. Having separate baths is like winter. Good. Go ahead, Scott.
On Oahu, what's interesting in a lot of these condo high rises that they're building now, they're actually providing guest suites that you can pay basically like $200, $300 a night, and you can block off for your guests to actually come and stay. They're actually in your condo building in a really nice, basically hotel suite. They have their separation of space, but yet you're in the same place. So then at that point, if this kind of question comes up here on Oahu, you can actually go for the 1 bedroom, 1 bath, add those extra components that you wanted rather than the 2 bedroom if it's just for guests, and put them down in the guest suites.
That's a feature. That's a cool feature. That is I have not heard of that. I've not heard of that, Scott. So
yeah, there's probably 15 towers now, 15 that have that component as an amenity.
wow, that